Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Things where no one will ever understand why you have to reboot the computer. Everything you never changed anything. You didn't do nothing to it, but for some reason it just seems to reboot it. It's kind of almost like when you need to put a kid in timeout.
Need a reset,
or you need a nap, right?
Yeah,
that's why baby boomers need to take more naps, because we need to reset them.
You and baby boomers, man. It only took you 30 seconds this time.
Hey, Elon Musk just became the first person to be worth $600 billion.
That's more than the GDP of most countries. That is.
You want to know something interesting?
Countries. That's crazy.
In addition to that, everybody was all that nonsense. A month or so ago about his pay package, about getting his pay package approved, right? And then all of a sudden, all that hemming and hawing about it, and then they finally. You can hear me, okay, right?
I can hear you just fine.
All right, cool. They finally approved it, right? And it's like, oh, this is going to get him to be the world's richest man because he's going to be worth $1 trillion because of the stock or
SpaceX, the IPO. Oh no!
But now this guy's doing SpaceX IPO worth $1.5 trillion, which is going to be more than the Aramco IPO, and that alone will make it worth like. It was like a few days ago they said it was going to make him worth like $950 billion, but now as a result of his net worth going to 6, he's going to be worth 1.5. He's going to be worth over $1 trillion when SpaceX goes IPO. But when you think about it, Len, it makes so much sense because this guy is so ahead of everybody and nobody even realizes it because, and this is something that I've talked about a lot, that I've talked about and we've talked about a lot, is he is single-handedly, simultaneously solving the biggest issue in front of everybody's eyes, and everyone's going to have to pay him to play in the AI game. And that is the energy crisis. We just simply cannot produce enough electricity, right? And we're starting to see that. We've also talked about that, about how people's electricity bills are increasing, or electricity utility costs because of the data center usage. But what Elon Musk is talking about is we're going to offload this all into space. Compute power will be in space. Electricity generation will be in space. And this guy literally is building the next infrastructure. Like if you would have looked at 100 years ago, 50 years ago, wealthy people owned sports teams, stadiums, energy transportation infrastructure, and NASCAR tracks, And now today, it's not anything that the infrastructure is off planet. And this guy has all the companies around it to do it. XAI, SpaceX, Tesla, all of them, you name them, Boring, all of them to combine, Neuralink, it's just insanity. But hey, man, stranger things are happening.
He's lived 6 lives already in one life. And one of his lives is more extraordinary than 99% of the others. And just from a business creation, technological innovation standpoint, he's one of one. That's a fact.
So just interesting because I saw that today before we hopped on here, and I'm like going, damn, look at this guy just, he's just killing everybody. He's killing everybody, right? And what's interesting too is that a lot of these companies like Oracle and all these guys, they're negative free cash flow as a result of all the money they're spending on build out, which further goes to point with Michael Berry's, where he's not backing down at all. And he's putting the pressure on for that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next several months. To see, most people think there's going to be a housing crisis tied to that as well, or a financial crisis going to be tied to housing again as well, just simply because of the way that the price ratio and the income ratio look.
We've talked a little bit about that. I'm interested to hear your perspective about how space can be used as a way to solve the energy crisis and things like that. Because like one thing that goes through my mind, technologically speaking anyway, is the use of nuclear technology. So nuclear fission and the way in which it's so effectively used and efficiently used. Whereas in space, you have different dynamics. And so how do you see space as an avenue to be able to harness electricity that we can use here on Earth?
I mean, I don't know why more R&D and more research. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe I just don't know. I mean, but maybe I just don't know why that's not a center point for all solving most of the problems that we deal with today. The fact remains is that we just can't harness enough energy, obviously, to where we're at right now. Fossil fuels don't do it. Regulations won't do it. But in regards to space is fascinating to me simply because space allows for an infinite amount of obviously it comes with its challenges, right? Because you're in space or you're in a vacuum. But to me, it comes with infinite solutions because you could produce, you can manufacture, you could do almost anything you want in orbit, in space, in a factory. And it becomes so much more efficient because you're not beholden to the limitations that you have here with building a terrestrial structure, right? I mean, you could build a lab, rotate it, have it orbit around the Earth, get free energy from solar. You get a better, everything happens, solar panels in space. So you're able to get better solar connectivity. You're able to get better conversion, more efficiency, no gravity, and you can produce nuclear energy, clean, safe nuclear energy in space, and then produce that down to the planet and manufacture in space, no waste, none of these things. So that's exactly the direction we're going in. And that's what you see happening in front of our eyes with what Elon Musk is doing.
See, to me, some of the concerns that I have about that, I think, okay, to your point, I think so much more research and development needs to happen.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I think the possibilities are endless, but I also think there are inherent risks that are also as vast because we're dealing with so many unknowns. We don't understand the different chemical compositions and how they interact in space versus on Earth, right? So like when you look at nuclear technology and how it interacts on Earth, you've got nitrogen and you've got hydrogen and you've got oxygen that's operating at its specific ratios here on Earth in the atmosphere versus out in space. We could take the same technologies we know, but out there, it could have a completely different interaction or reaction, and countless lives could be lost because of it. So I think we've got to be very conscientious of those little things because they could become very big things quickly. And, and then also once you have the ability to produce and manufacture in space, being able to harness that energy and get it efficiently and effectively back to Earth is also another challenge because, okay, let's say we can produce electricity at, a fraction of the cost per unit. But then what happens to the cost of that unit when you've got to fly instruments out there, all of the gas that's expended, all of the potential, energy that's expelled, the different costs for the materials to build those, engines and all of that. When it's all said and done, net, how much cheaper will it be? Like for example, the idea of going to Mars sounds grandiose and it sounds forward thinking, but to me, it seems like a much more efficient use of time and energy to just make the Earth we live on better, just because it's just so much infinitely more pleasant to live here. When you look at the temperature changes on Mars, some parts of the day it's hundreds of degrees, and in other parts of the days it's, negative 100. So you got this, vast temperature change in one day of 400 degrees. That's not hospitable. Whereas you could take a smaller percentage of output to make Earth better and more efficient, and as opposed to trying to change Mars. So those are just some thoughts that are going through my head. Obviously the hype around the SpaceX being $1 trillion company. I've seen some figures that say more close to 800 million, but I think by the time the IPO comes out in 2026, it'll be right around that $1 trillion mark. So very, very interesting stuff though.
I think it's a great opportunity to invest. I mean, I'd be buying SpaceX.
No doubt.
I'm
in line already, bro.
I mean, I'm like, set aside. It's almost like set aside a tithe every month. You're right. I mean, set aside. Because every single. I mean, when you look at how that gets packaged together and how he ties all those different entities together, it really is cornering the market.
Dollar cost average before they even go public into your savings account.
Right. Right. Exactly. I don't see human beings living in Mars and all that type of stuff before I see colonization just in orbit, right? Like, for example, building massive superstructures that orbit the Earth that you could live in those
We've already proven that works because of the space station. They can live out there.
Exactly. So think within 100 years, you're going to have a good portion of the population living in low Earth orbit or whatever you call it, right? It's just orbiting Earth in an arcology setup where it's just this massive, hospitable, Earth, but you think it is, and you have this view of Earth because you're orbiting it. Like, so that's definitely probably, I would say, would be first, but
you think so? Okay.
Nuclear energy is the only solution that we have on Earth. No hydro, no solar, none of this stuff's going to get you to the finish line of what we need. And I think AI is going to kill the climate change green movement, because it's going to figure out a way to create clean, safe nuclear energy production. And when you can get a nuclear energy, because there's a lot of companies that are on the forefront of that, one is specifically where they're going to be able to drop ship a nuclear reactor the size of a Chevy Suburban and power an entire city. You get what I'm saying? So stuff like that is going to start to scale so fast. We're just like, why would we invest in windmills and all of these other types of technologies that are so outdated when you can literally have a nuclear reactor the size of a Chevy Suburban replace all the electricity function of all windmills and all the solar panels in most cases. Because that's really nuclear power. I mean, we're talking about the sun, right? So we're talking about reproducing the same effects that the sun, fission, fusion. And then at that point, no more energy problem. Energy problem is solved. Clean, safe, reliable, clean energy, and nobody will have to pay for electricity anymore. So that kind of even lends more down to that pathway of what's everyone going to do when AI replaces everybody's jobs? Well, there won't be bills anymore because everything's going to be free because everything is so cheaply made. Once that happens, the cost of production becomes so low because the cost of energy is so low. And that's what frightens a lot of oligarchies, or I guess powers that be, or whatever you could say, is because they now lose their ability to produce, right? With what they're used to being produced, that the guard is going to change. So just perspective on that.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Len, as always, phenomenal conversation. And again, we'll see how things wrap up here for the rest of the year, and how things go. And again, like, subscribe if you like the content. We'd love to hear from you as well. Len, any last final thoughts before we close out?
Just continue to be open to what truth actually is. Don't live in echo chambers. So with that being said, take care, everybody. Till next time.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.